We're pleased to be joined now by Wendell Gramlich. He is the chapter co-president of Sleep in Heavenly Peace of Michigan's Western Wayne County, joining us now on the MegaCast. Wendell, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Tyler.
Appreciate having you on. So tell us a little bit about Sleep in Heavenly Peace. It's a nonprofit organization, but what does this nonprofit do?
So what we do is we fill the need of children that are sleeping on the floor. They don't have a bed. They're sharing a bed with a family member. And what we do is we fundraise, we build beds with organizations or do public builds. And then after we build the beds, we go ahead and deliver them right into the home, kind of like what you see in the background of my screen here. A fully furnished bed with bedding, mattress, pillow. And it makes a huge difference in these children's lives.
So this organization has 200 chapters around the U.S. It's built over 35,000 beds. How long has how's Michigan's Western Wayne County chapter been operating, and how many kids have been served by the services of this nonprofit locally?
So we started in 2018. And we've built since that time over 400 beds. We've delivered over 375 of those beds. And we have another build scheduled this Saturday outside in Livonia at the 242 Community Church. And we're still looking for about 20 to 30 more volunteers.
And what kind of skill sets do these volunteers need to have? Do they need to have some sort of carpentry skill set, or do they need to be savvy with tools, or is this something that they can kind of just show up and be bodies that are there and helpful to the organization, and all that guidance will be provided by the nonprofit, and they just need people to help build these beds?
We just need people, really. We train them right on the spot, anywhere from sanding, drilling, using an impact to screw wood together. We have staining. We stain the beds with vinegar and steel wool so nothing's toxic. And we're just happy to get anyone there, and we'll find a job for them no matter what their skill set is.
We're joined by Wendell Gramlich. He is the chapter co-president of Sleep in Heavenly Peace of Michigan's Western Wayne County chapter, joining us today on the MegaCast. They have a build coming up again, and that's going to be at the 242 Community Church, located on 5 Mile Road in Livonia. And over the pandemic, Wendell, how has your organization's work been impacted? Because on the one hand, it's tough to get people together to do these builds for these beds when there's a virus at play, and we're being told and being instructed and guided to be apart. But on top of that, there are other mounting issues as well that I would presume affect the building of these beds.
Yeah, it's definitely created a larger challenge to us. The amount of people willing to volunteer, even to help us deliver the beds, has dropped. Doing our builds now, right? We've been doing our builds outside as much as possible. Wearing the masks. It just having a kid having a bed is still essential, and we're trying to move forward still and provide that, fill that need, and until people feel more comfortable volunteering, I'm sure we're going to continue to have lower numbers of volunteers.
We're joined by Wendell Gramblick. He is the chapter co-president of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, Michigan, Western Wayne County, with us on the MegaCast as they are planning a build and need some volunteers. That build is going to be on Saturday, September 18th from 8:30 a.m. until noon. Their goal is to build about 40 beds, and Wendell had said earlier, I believe, they need about 30 volunteers. And Wendell, in terms of supplies, because to build these beds you need a number of different supplies. You need the tools to be able to assemble them, but you also need some of what goes into them. Like I can see in the background behind you, there's a lot of wood that goes into the frame of that bed. And right now, a lot of these supplies, including wood has been tough to come by in a lot of different sectors, especially in the construction industry and the home building industry. Have you found, has the nonprofit found during the pandemic, that it's been tougher to get some of these materials in order to continue your operations and build these beds for these kids?
Well, with we have Lowe's as a national partner and also our local partners. The Lowe's in Westland, Southfield, Allen Park have all been instrumental in helping our chapter have the tools to do the builds and provide the lumber. Our last build was outside at Lowe's in Westland, and they have come through with the wood supplies for us. They donated all the wood and the supplies at our last build. So they're going to help us with the wood for this supply, or with this build on Saturday, get it delivered and give us an awesome discount. I can't express how much Lowe's has helped us.
And outside of partners like Lowe's, are there other businesses, or are there other ways that, outside of partners like Lowe's, do you rely on donations as well from the general public of some supplies, on top of course, their time and their energy to put into these builds?
Yes, like our storage is at Store and Lock Self Storage. They donate the storage to us. Other organizations have donated large sums to help us do other builds. Even Looney Baker in Livonia is donating donuts again to our next build, and Apsapure donates the water. Everyone comes together and seems to help us, which really makes my job so much easier because I can concentrate on just getting volunteers and get the supplies and be able to get the builds done and not have to, worry about where am I going to, find $1 or $2 to get some bedding or something like that. People do donate bedding. Bed in the bags are great. We do have a low supply of that right now. And we have a drop-off location in Livonia at Min on the Move. So we're looking for new twin size bedding, bed in the bags preferably. And then that will replenish our inventory so we can get our next beds that we're building delivered quicker.
We're joined by Wendell Gramblick. He is the chapter co-president of Sleep in Heavenly Peace of Michigan's Western Wayne County chapter, joining us today on the MegaCast. And Wendell, a lot of people maybe aren't thinking about this issue being something that's common, having kids that are grown up or at some point have not gone without having a bed that they can comfortably sleep in each and every night. How much of a problem is that here particularly in Western Wayne County and in southeastern Michigan, but really across the state of Michigan and the U.S.?
Well, bedlessness is a huge problem. A lot of people, if they don't see it, they don't know it exists. It started for me back in somewhere around 2014. My wife was working at the local schools as a parapro, and she had a student that she was working with, and he was progressing like he was supposed to. And then after Christmas break, he started regressing and falling asleep. She found out he no longer had a bed, and the family had moved over Christmas break, and she came home and told my daughter and I, and my daughter at the time was 12. And my daughter's like, how much is a mattress, Mom? I have enough money saved up. I could buy him a mattress. And that's kind of what planted the seed in me of knowing that there was a problem. And then when I saw, Mike Rowe's Dirty Jobs, he did a Facebook show called Returning the Favor. He did one on Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And I was like, that's something I could do. And I know from applications in Metro Detroit, we have thousands of kids that are sleeping without a bed. They're sleeping on the floor, sharing a bed, and we need more chapters, more people to step up and say, hey, I could do that, and start a chapter just like I did, and we could help tackle this great need in Metro Detroit.
And Wendell, how is the distribution of these beds that Sleep in Heavenly Peace's chapter in Western Wayne County? How's distribution of those beds determined? Are people applying specifically for the services of your local nonprofit organization's chapter, or are they being pointed to you? How does that work?
It works just by going through our website, shpbeds.org, and then they can request a bed right there, or they can drill down to our chapter and request a bed. And once we get the requests, we serve them first, in first order. So the first ones applied are the first ones delivered. And then when we go to deliver them, we have volunteers with trucks that are, we load them up, and we have volunteers that help us go into the homes and deliver them. So, that's the process.
We're joined by Wendell Gramblick. He is the chapter co-president of Sleep in Heavenly Peace's chapter in western Wayne County here in the state of Michigan. And Wendell, for some families that may be experiencing bedlessness, they may not have that access to the internet to be able to go to your website, to go to shpbeds.org and locate your chapter and apply for this necessity. Are there other ways that these families can go about applying for this absolute need for themselves and for their kids without having to have access to the internet?
Okay, so with Sleep in Heavenly Peace, we're kind of run like a franchise. So we have guidelines that we have to follow.
Okay.
We have insurance and different coverages. So with Sleep in Heavenly Peace, all applications do have to go through our website, but they could have somebody else do that for them. They could use their if they have a smartphone, they could use the smartphone, or even have a neighbor. Or they could do it at the library even, if they can get into the library and access a computer that way. But that is a requirement of Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And we do have a delivery area that is pretty big for Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And, it's at times been realized that it's a little large.
We're joined by Wendell Gramblick. He is the chapter co-president of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and their chapter in western Wayne County here in Michigan. And they have a build that's coming up on Saturday, September 18th in Livonia. That will be at the 242 Community Church, which is located on 5 Mile Road in Livonia. And Wendell, beyond volunteering for, of course, this build, where your goal is to build about 40 beds that will then be distributed to needy families in the local area. Through the organization itself, Sleep in Heavenly Peace, a nonprofit. What else is needed for your local chapter and in the general cause that this nonprofit is working toward right now from people in our community that may be able to give either their time or other resources?
The main things we need is volunteers. We need chapter team leads. We need delivery leaders. We need, donations, a bedding and a bag. And all of that can, they can reach out to us through our Facebook or also through our chapter listed through shpbeds.org. And, it's greatly appreciated, anyone that's able to help us.
And that build that's going on with this chapter is this weekend. Again, that is Saturday, September 18th, 8:30 a.m. until 12 noon. That will be at the 242 Community Church, located on 5 Mile Road in Livonia, Michigan. Donations can be made by sending them to SHP P.O. Box 85304 in Westland, Michigan 48185. Again, that is SHP P.O. Box 85304, Westland, Michigan 48185. You can also make on-site donations at their build 9 a.m. until noon, or ship to their optional drop-off location, Men on the Move, located at 12400 Merriman Road in Livonia. Wendell, anything else today before we'll say goodbye?
No, I think that's it. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.